Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $20,000 Modern Invitational, sponsored by TCGplayer.com. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We got 2 rounds down and 5 more Swiss to bring you, as well as top 8, and we're going to be bringing you all that action live today. Before we move into round number 3, my man Ross has a metagame breakdown for us. Why don't you give us a rundown of the most popular decks in today's event?
Well, 65 players playing today. Scam, unsurprisingly. Rakdos, the most popular deck with 9 players, so that's a little bit more than little under a seventh, 14% or so. Then we've got 8 Rhinos players. That was the big surprise. Very popular is Charlotte's Agent here on the Apex series.
And it did just win the Modern Showcase Challenge on Magic Online last night. That's a major event that happens once a month, and playing the new Tidebinder really changed the game.
Yeah, we've seen Dawn Delosier in round 1 win with Tidebinder. She is currently 2-0, one of our backup features, so we might get to her again. Next up, looking down the list, we got 6 copies each of Beans. Just all the different flavors of Up the Beanstalk decks.
Got
lumped into
pinto
one
beans,
category.
black beans,
Yeah,
red beans, and rice.
kidney beans, cannellini beans,
Okay.
Great White Northern beans.
You gonna name every bean now?
Nah, there's a lot.
There are a lot.
And also 6 copies of Yawgmoth, which brings us to our main feature match, which is going to be Young Dingo Mikey Bishara playing that Yawgmoth deck against Travis Brown, one of the heavy hitters here on the Apex series, playing his signature deck, Mono White Hammer.
Yeah.
He is he won our last invitational qualifier a month ago, so punched his ticket recently, but he is a well-versed and a master of the hammer archetype, so this should be a very interesting matchup.
Well, he also recently had great success at the last SEG event as well, winning 2 of their 3 main events on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, so he is on a tear. Let's see if Dingo can stop that freight train from rolling along and get to 3-0, or if Travis will keep plowing his way through this field.
All right, well, the players are seated and just about ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down there and watch round number 3. The Apex Gaming Invitational, sponsored by TCGplayer.com. Young Dingo on Golgari Yawgmoth, not a deck that he's played a ton with recently, but he had a dream about Yawgmoth 2 nights ago and decided that he was going to play that deck in the tournament today, and he's 2-0, so dreams can be memes.
Well, or memes can be dreams.
That's true, too. On his, across from him, his opponent, Travis, oh my God. Travis Brown playing Mono White Bonk. We are off to the races here. No play for Travis on turn 1. Young Wolf for Dingo.
Yeah, no huge surprises in either of these deck lists. Dingo has the Singleton Apatra, has Haywire Might in the main. That could come up. Also has a Shieldred in the main. Maybe that helps stabilize him from a low life total, but the Haywire Might is the big one.
I have a big thing here for you, Ross. Travis Brown played nothing on 1, had Giver of Ruin, said go, because he also had Surge of Righteousness. Expected Young Dingo to be on his Rakdos scam deck that he won an RCQ with yesterday to protect against Grief and Thoughtseize.
And now massively punished. That Giver could help protect, the Stoneforge Mystic, but no answer for Dingo. The tempo loss, I think, in this matchup is pretty big.
Yeah, but Stoneforge Mystic does go get Cauldron Complete, and we're going to go ahead and put it onto the battlefield. This is a 5/5 Germ token that has haste, first strike, pseudo death touch, indestructible, million abilities. Let's get Cauldron Complete on the screen because this card is wild. This is the successor to Batterskull. It's an extraordinary equipment that costs a lot of mana, but you can put it on the table for pretty cheap thanks to Stoneforge Mystic, and it's a great out of these decks.
And with the Surge of Salvation in hand for Travis Brown, the Haywire Might is not going to be able to answer this Cauldron Complete.
All right, and we Bowmaster end of turn and get a 1/1 token and deal a damage. But not doing a whole lot of damage here. We'll see if Dingo has the ability to fight back against this indestructible 5/5. It's very difficult to block, very difficult to kill, and if you don't Thoughtseize it or kill the Stoneforge Mystic, it's often difficult to win without going combo crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the way Dingo is going to have to win this game because he really doesn't have a way to contain the Cauldron Complete in combat or remove it from the battlefield because of that Surge of Salvation I mentioned earlier. Is doing a good job of getting towards his combos, flooding the battlefield with small creatures. Already has 1 Undying creature there. He's going to need to find another Undying creature, a Yawgmoth, and then either the Blood Artist or the Shieldred. And that will do it.
Passes turn here with 3 mana up. Looks like maybe a Court of Calling incoming. We'll see if he goes and gets something like Haywire Might, and maybe that takes care of the Cauldron Complete. Maybe that's the answer. Will require him to use all of his green mana, though, because Court of Calling is a GGGX, and you can only tap the Yawgmoth, Blue Marsh, and the green source off the Verdant Catacombs. So he will take the other hit. There's a Saga now for Travis on 2 counters, and he's thinking about activating it and holding up Surge or playing out a creature. We'll see what he does. So let's go.
Just plays it slow. He's already ahead. No reason to sacrifice value off of this Urza Saga, because the constructs are quite big at this point, and if you find Shadow Spear, they can attack through this battlefield with ease. You can end up with 2 more constructs plus the Shadow Spear, so that's going to be 5/5 constructs. With Shadow Spear equipped, one of them will be a 6/6 Trampler. That's pretty good.
All right, here's end of turn, Court of Calling. We're going to do it for X equals 2. Finds Hapatra, the Death Dealer. That alongside Yawgmoth will allow Dingo to shoot down all the opponent's creatures for the amount of life he has. Perhaps with something like another Court of Calling, we could play Yawgmoth, Court of Calling, and then go from there. It would require getting one of the 1/1 insects off of the Apatra, but that seems easy to do.
Yeah, this is actually a great way to contain the battlefield. It'll answer the Germ, because the Surge of Salvation, Dingo, as long as he has another creature to restart the chain, he can respond. So the Surge will really only counter 1 activation of Yawgmoth.
All right, we're going to go to 8. Here is Yawgmoth from hand. We'll see if Dingo has the other Court of Calling, or if we just do the Hapatra plus Yawgmoth trick. We can only do it 7 times and go down to 1. We got to be a little careful. But for now, it looks like we're in decent shape. We're going to end of turn Surge so that Dingo can't kill anything in response to the Saga, I guess? But we can do it on upkeep, so I'm not really sure why we're doing it like that.
Yeah, this will force Dingo to just do everything on Travis's turn.
Okay, we're going to go back Travis's way. We're going to draw for turn. Urza Saga triggers Chapter 3.
Drew the Shadow Spear. So now we might just find a Springleaf Drum. Could find a Hammer if he's got a way to equip it.
Travis floats with Saga. The ability's still on the stack now. Young Dingo has the ability to respond. He can use Hapatra plus Yawgmoth. This combo allows him to sack any creature, and that -1/-1 counter will put a 1/1 insect into play, and then the insect over and over can be sacrificed to continuously do the same thing. It costs 1 life per activation, though. That Young Wolf should undie back to play unless Dingo missed it. It is something you can miss.
We might be just still... No? Well, it's still in the graveyard.
No, perhaps is... Right. Well, so the trigger is still technically on the stack, and you can always respond to it with those Yawgmoth activations. So the Young Wolf does come back now after the card draws have resolved. We're going to use 1/1 counters for white dice and minus counters for black dice. Dingo down to 6 from those Yawgmoth activations. All right, Saga resolves. I don't think Travis Brown has a main deck Pith and Needle usually.
I think he does today.
Okay, looks like he's thumbing a Hammer.
Yeah.
And if he has Pure Steel Paladin, we can go Hammer, Equip. Seems not bad.
There is indeed a Pithing Needle.
Okay, well, that is the find. Travis Brown likely going to lock down Yawgmoth, Grand Physician. That's going to keep the powerful combo from doing a whole lot, and we'll see if he can cobble together a kill in the next few turns through this gummed up battlefield.
So we have the Shadow Spear in hand. We could play that and equip the Germ. That'll be a 4/4 then. Still not a lethal attack. Ooh,
Here's Pure Steel.
Pure Steel.
It's going to allow for a re-equip onto a different creature, and Ornithopter plus Shadow Spear are going to come across for 6. Dingo at 6. No flying blockers. GG. Game 1 goes to Travis Brown.
Sweet.
Yeah, that was nice. Pure Steel Paladin with the free equips, huh?
Yeah, anytime you move Calder Complete to another creature,
Things are either
I'm in.
going extremely right or extremely wrong. There's no in between. All right, as these players are reaching for their sideboard, I'm going to reach across the desk to Ross and say, hey, how do you sideboard in this matchup if your young dingo, that Yawgmoth deck, needs a little help against this mono white hammer deck, it seems?
And there's a lot of good options here. Dingo's sideboard is 1 Shielder of the Apocalypse, 1 Endurance, 2 Fulminate Intermage, 1 Soulless Jailer, 1 Maelstrom Pulse, 1 Legion's End, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Go for the Throat, 1 Terra Sunder, 1 Fatal Push, 2 Void Mirror, and 1 Elven Chorus. So we got a lot of removal we can bring in. I like Maelstrom Pulse, even though it's a little slow. It's a card that can clean up a lot of constructs. It can also answer something like, Forge Anew, or the card that I can't come up with ever. The one that they always play that costs 1 mana.
Surge?
No, the enchantment.
Oh, Sigarda's Aid?
Yeah, there we go.
The marquee card?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I forget it sometimes too. I love that you remember Forge Anew, but I can't remember Sigarda's Aid.
That's the way my brain works.
It's fine. It happens.
Okay. The Legion's End is more questionable just because it's a sorcery, but it's a nice answer to a Calder Complete Germ token. It can also clean up a lot of constructs, so that probably comes in. The Force of Vigors are excellent. The Go for the Throat is probably not good enough. I think too many artifact creatures. There's some targets, but not enough. The Terra Sunder and Fatal Push are both quite good. The big question for me is, do you want Fulminator Mage at all? There's a lot of high-value non-basic lands between Urza Saga and Inkmoth Nexus.
Right.
Fulminator Mage's probably too slow, and you're bringing in other answers for constructs, so I lean no, but maybe Dingo disagrees.
All right, on the other side of things, Travis Brown's mono white hammer deck. This is something he's been playing a lot lately, and you know that he's got something for Yawgmoth. Why don't you hit us with this sideboard plan?
Well, he's got the 4 Solitudes that are kind of his signature. 4 copies of Amiria's Call in the mana base over basic planes in order to enable the evoke cost on those Solitudes. That could be good in this matchup. Also has 2 Drannith Magistrate, 4 Strict Proctor, and 2 Mana Tithe. Not as big a fan of those, but the big hitter at the bottom of his sideboard I'm looking at, 3 copies of Cursed Totem.
Yeah, that one's not bad.
That is I wanted to say it is a hammer for this matchup, but we already have hammers in this deck.
It's a different kind of bonk. It's a
Yeah.
soft bonk instead of a hard bonk.
But that one will definitely be coming in. There are plenty of answers in the deck for Young Dingo. Has 2 copies of Besage You and has the Terra Sunder and Force of Vigors coming in. So it is far from unbeatable, but it is definitely a problematic card, and one Young Dingo hopefully is aware of. Because if he gets caught unaware of it, maybe uses that disenchant removal early, and then the Curse Totem goes unanswered, his deck just doesn't really work.
Right. All right. Well, as these players are continuing their sideboarding and shuffling up here for game number 2, I'd like to take this time to say thank you to the sponsors for today's event. Ultimate Guard is the premier provider of TCG supplies, from the Katana sleeves to the Archive deck box. They provide some really quality products for the TCG community. Ask your local game store for Katana sleeves or the Archive deck box today. And if they don't have it, ask them, why not? I'll buy one. Next up, Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a great deck building website that I've personally been using on my stream over the last few days. The ease of use is great. It's a nice way to build decks, but also to archive your decks and then share them very easily. They're currently working on a way to generate high-quality images that should be implemented shortly. For now, they've been using a rudimentary version, but should be updated pretty quickly. Highly recommend Moxfield if you like building decks. Next up, Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. keeps us fed and happy on these long tournament weekends. We had them on Friday night, and we're likely going to have them again tonight when we're done with today's festivities. We appreciate Wings Etc. and all they do for us here at the Apex Gaming Series. I do want to say a big thank you to TCGplayer.com. They have become our primary sponsor here on the Apex Invitational Series. You can check out their primary website, tcgplayer.com, to find any singles you need to fill out your Pioneer deck or Modern deck. If you're interested in strategy content, you can check out TCG Player Infinite with big names like Frank Karsten writing strategy articles. They're also affiliated with Channel Fireball Pro. Channel Fireball is another website that they work with for high-level strategy content from big names in Magic like Reed Duke and Louis Scott Vargas. Thank you so much to tcgplayer.com.
Okay, players have shuffled up and are ready here to draw hands for game number 2.
I'm about to draw hands on Ross. About to get him.
It's aggressive, but okay.
Well, I don't know, man. Just talking. All right, game number 2 about to be underway. Both players looking at their opening hand. We'll see if they're going to keep or mull. Dingo going to be on the play after getting waxed by Cauldron Complete.
I see a Force of Vigor in the opener.
All right, looks like we did mulligan. We're going to be underway here. Nope, Travis going to go to 5 maybe, it seems. All right, second mulligan incoming. This matchup is, I personally think it's favorable for Yawgmoth, especially after sideboard with lots of copies of Force of Vigor. It'll be interesting to see how good those curse totems are because they are artifacts that kind of get swept up in that.
Yeah, so they're certainly answerable, but I think if you're Travis, you just don't run them out early. That's the card that you try to save, bait the removal with some of your other threats, and then drop the hammer.
Literally.
I tend to agree that the one thing about this matchup from the Yawgmoth side is that, we like to think of Yaga as a bit of a combo deck. In this matchup, it's much more of a control deck. You're going to try to use Yawgmoth to control the battlefield, stop all those creatures, kill creatures before they get big. Now you've got disenchant effects, to deal with hammers if you need to, or Sigarda's Aids, or Curse Totems, and just, win the game with a lot of card advantage and removal. And you'll eventually just kind of whittle them down to nothing and beat down with whatever small creatures you have remaining. So a little bit different tact in this matchup from Yawgmoth, but they definitely have the tools to execute that control game plan.
All right, we're underway here for game number 2. Wow, brutal stuff here. Travis Brown actually kept a land with no white sources and drew an Urza Saga as his second land. That plus Springleaf Drum get absolutely obliterated by Force of Vigor.
And the Bowmaster to get something on the battlefield. An excellent start for young Dingo here. Travis is quite behind from turn 2.
Yeah, the trick here is saying Urza Saga Chapter 1's on the stack. The ability to grant tapping for mana does not go into effect until after that Chapter 1 resolves, and young Dingo, with a very heads-up play of blowing it up along with that Springleaf Drum before he's able to tap it for mana.
White. There's a Plains. Now we can do things.
All right, white source is drawn here, and here's Curse Totem. Dingo going to go ahead and convoke for 2.
So we can get, maybe the Hapatra, maybe a Stranglroot Geist, maybe a Wall of Roots if we want to generate more mana.
Right. I believe he has another Chord of Calling in hand. This was a very chord-heavy draw, but maybe that was the one he pitched to Force. So,
yeah. If he has a third chord, then Wall of Roots makes the most sense because Wall, really supercharges those Chord of Callings.
It looks like we're going to go get Hapatra. That does not do any, or it does attack and potentially generate a 1/1. Something like Haywire might not a good answer to Curse Totem because it does get locked down. Oh, nice. That's the Mirage one. Players cannot play any creature abilities requiring an activation cost. The Totem Inscription, translated, says, "Pass me from soul to soul, soldier to herder, herder to beast, beast to soil until I am everywhere. Then pass me those souls."
So with the Curse Totem, Wall of Roots gets significantly worse as a core target here. The Hapatra is going to allow Dingo to create some more bodies just by attacking with it and you can put the counter on itself. Now you got a 1/1 Hapatra and a Snake, and that could help out towards more Yawgmoth synergies or further Chord of Callings.
Well, I believe we picked up a Boseiju. That's a nice answer to the Curse Totem if we want it, but we don't need to answer it right now. We also have an Agatha Soul Cauldron that can come down here and start potentially doing some cool stuff. Hapatra going to put a -1/-1 counter on herself to generate a 1/1 insect that's going to spread the bodies around a little bit and turn the 2/2 into a 1/1. Here's Agatha Soul Cauldron. We're going to go back to Travis Brown. Thumb through a hand. No creatures in play except for the Yawgmoth Nexus potentially, but it's a little expensive to activate. Travis looking for like Sigarda's Aid, something, so that we can threaten a kill. Ooh, there it is. Maybe next turn we go for a hammer kill.
Yeah, that there's not a ton that Dingo has right now to answer that, and he's down to what is that, one card in hand?
Yeah, but I think it is a Boseiju, so I do think we have the ability to protect ourselves from it. We want it for the Cursed Totem, but we have to do what we gotta do to survive, right?
Yeah. So if Travis does have fourth land, Surge of Salvation, Hammer, that would still be a kill. Looks like he's got a Pure Steel Paladin and a Hammer in hand.
One thing I would like to see Dingo do is use Hapatra's ability to put a -1 counter on the Orc Army. The Orc Army, if it dies, can be respawned later with the cards drawn off of things like Pure Steel Paladin or what have you. But it looks like we're going to go for Bowmaster to go to the graveyard so the Agatha Soul Cauldron can get a little bit of juice.
Yeah, I like this line because now we can Soul Cauldron, put a counter on the Patra, next turn put a -1/-1 counter on the Patra, and still, make another token the next turn.
Yeah, big agree. All right, so it looks like we do have the hammer rolled up to Travis Brown. I think we're so far behind that we kind of have to go for it. And I think once we do, we are going to lose. We're going to activate the Yawgmoth Nexus and play a hammer on it.
Why did we tap 2 mana to activate the Yawgmoth?
You know, I was wondering the same thing. Maybe he said, I'm going to spend 3, I'm going to go activate Yawgmoth, put a hammer on it, and then activate Yawgmoth again to give it flying again.
Yeah, that's what I assumed he was doing, but his sequencing is a little strange.
Yeah.
I think he might have put the activations on the stack. Oh, because once he activates the Yawgmoth Nexus and makes it a creature, he can't activate it again because of his own Curse Totem.
Oh, wow.
So he puts them both on the stack first, then responds to the second one with the Colossus Hammer.
I would not
gets
have
around
seen
his own
that.
Curse Totem to still give it flying.
Wow, Travis Brown definitely knows his deck inside and out, and that is pitch perfect. And Young Dingo, unfortunately for Travis Brown, has the answer to the Yawgmoth Nexus with the Boseiju Who Endures. No more mana issues for Travis Brown, but only down to 1 card in hand. We're going to go back Young Dingo's way in just a moment.
Yeah. Now, if Travis does have Pure Steel Paladin as his last card in hand, that could help him recover. Just needs 1 more artifact to get to Metalcraft. Then he can equip the hammer to the Pure Steel. The issue there is that these snake tokens from Hapatra do have Death Touch.
Oh, wow. Great. So they're going to be able to chunk in. Okay, here comes an attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to put Travis down to 6. Let's see if Dingo can add a 6 point of pressure to threaten lethal next turn. We do get to make another 1/1 with Death Touch by just putting a -1/-1 counter on one of them. That is what we see.
Yeah, puts the counter on the snake token that had a +1/+1 counter.
Right. Just
so
so
-1/-1 and +1/+1 cancel.
Just for those of you at home, he does have the Pure Steel Paladin.
Yeah,
wow.
But drew a Plains for turns, so not a great draw from Travis. And yeah, the Pure Steel can check either the Hapatra or the Orc Army, probably the Hapatra.
All right, so life total slightly off here. Travis Brown should be down to 6. Spotter here just catching up. And we're going to go back to Dingo's way. These 1/1s with Death Touch are going to be difficult to deal with because, well, you're at 6. You got to start blocking. Boseiju's the draw for Dingo, so that could give him some more protection from a hammer equip at some point. We'll see if he wants to shove in with just Death Touch creatures. Oh, I was wrong. Here's Delighted Halfling. Swinging in for 3. You're still going to block 1. And Secret Death Touch or actual Death Touch?
Well, yeah, it's a Death Toucher.
Okay, so I believe we're going to have a judge call here. This actually happens every now and then with tokens. So the tokens from Hapatra have Death Touch. The tokens that Young Dingo are using don't say Death Touch on them, and so they're not exactly accurate. And so Travis Brown says, oh, they have Death Touch. Oh, crap. I don't really want to block then. I'll just go to 3. Dingo says, well, you did already block, but, the tokens don't have the words on them that are correct. So we're just going to let it slide. And Travis Brown going to go down to 3 after not blocking. Draws hammer for turn. We're going to play that. We're going to draw a card and equip it to the Pure Steel Paladin. And we'll see. Oh, we found another hammer. Can we get lucky and drop Shadow Spear and just shade it off and kill Dingo from 20? Finds Pithy Needle. Not gonna do it. And I think that young Dingo is gonna win game number 2. Yeah.
We can make a 32-32
Doesn't
without
have
any form
trample.
of evasion.
Unfortunately, the hammer doesn't grant trample. It just gives you a big old hammer to whack people with.
Gives you negative flying.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so big.
It's so big. All right, these players here are going to be shuffling up and sideboarding for game number 3. And while they're doing that, I'll take this time to ask Ross a question. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Tournament's been awesome so far. We got a lot of great matchups.
What's your favorite deck you've seen so far in the event? I know you've been perusing those deck lists like crazy.
Well, unfortunately, my favorite deck has not been doing so well.
No, whose is it?
We had somebody bring a really cool 4-color Jeskai Ascendancy,
Aw.
Sanctum Weaver, sort of Enchantress combo deck, and yeah, they had a rough day.
Well, the one thing I know about Jeskai Ascendancy is that you don't really need to make 17 mana off of one creature with the Sanctum Weaver. Just put some Birds
it's
of
cool
Paradise
when
in
you
your
do.
deck. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that-
overkill.
They had
though.
Arbor Elf, Utopia Sprawl too.
Okay, fair. Fair is fair. I know our friend Garrison Fote, who was one of our judges yesterday and on Friday, is playing a really cool Death Shadow build that I'm interested in playing some.
Yeah, he's currently 1-1, battling it out still in round 3.
Any other updates on our back tables you can give us from our Melee account?
I can tell you we have one person at 3-0 right now. That's Cody Hill. That's
Nice.
our one mono black Coffers player.
Heck
So
yeah.
He's tearing through the field. Actually defeated Burn this round.
Unfortunately, our friend Bomat went 4-1 with Coffers in our last chance qualifier, but bubbled in 5th place, unable to make it into the Invitational. Only top 4 going to the invites. Looks like our players here are almost ready for game number 3, but Travis once again going to mulligan and taking a trip down to 6.
Rough.
Well, I think that this is nothing new for him, right? He plays this deck so much. The mulligan. Look, I think the less you play Magic, the more frustrated you get at things like mulliganing, losing, things that most people who don't play very much would consider unfortunate or unlucky, right? Travis is aggressively mulliganing because he knows exactly what kind of hands he can keep and exactly which kinds of hands he can't keep against this Yawgmoth deck.
Yeah, we have definitely seen him mulligan aggressively across these tournaments. He mulliganed a lot in the top 8 of the SCGs that he won. I was watching those the other week, so yeah, he is certainly not sweating it. He knows that his deck can give up can bring him home even on 5 or 6 cards.
Yeah, you see some of our backup matches. We got Dawn Delosier against Steven Dykeman, and we also have Robin Gonzalez against her mentor and teacher, Mason Clark. Curious who's going to win that one. But we have a game here. Let's get it underway. Travis Brown versus Young Dingo, Golgari Yawgmoth. No turn 1 play. Let's see if Travis Brown has a 1-drop. He did shock for 3 damage with, I want to say, Emiria, the Ruin in the Sky. I know it's not the Sky Ruin, but it's something like that on the back.
Travis on the play. This is turn 2. So I think that was a tap to Emiria on turn 1.
Okay, sorry.
And still no play on turn 2. A slow draw here for Travis Brown.
Maybe just deliberate. Doesn't want to expose anything to Force of Vigor maybe this early on. Maybe even has Saga, but after last game getting obliterated was kind of tough. All right. Going to go back Dingo's way. We're going to go get Overgrown Tomb. We'll see if he has a play for turn number 2. Something like Wall of Roots, maybe that Hapatra.
Hapatra would be nice. I would sort of force the action from Travis Brown because it can start attacking and making snake tokens.
All right. What you got?
See a Yawg in hand. Maybe still no play.
You know, last time we were here, when Dingo was on camera, I accidentally called him Young Dingus. And his mom was watching, and she yelled at me.
Okay. Travis Brown taking 3 for another Emiria there to play just a 2-drop in Cursed Totem. That suggests there's a Surge of Salvation in hand.
Right.
So he has Surge to protect this Cursed Totem, and that's pretty solid.
Yeah, can we get a Surge of Salvation on the screen? Because this is a strange card because I think it gives you and all your stuff hexproof, but
All your permanents.
it also gives you protection from black and red, so kind of like Fog's black and red attacks for a turn. But really what it does here is it protects Cursed Totem from Force of Vigor.
Yeah, Force of Vigor, Terra Sunder, even Boseiju.
Right. Man, Surge of Salvation has been a nice addition to the Mono White Hammer decks, and Travis correctly, I think, identifying that it allows the deck to cut blue entirely. Spell Pierce was the card in that slot, but Surge of Salvation just has so much utility across the field. Here's Sigarda's
There's
Aid.
this Garda's Aid. We have Surge of Salvation and a Colossus Hammer in hand. So I think Travis is just being patient, waiting one more turn. Might actually have multiple Surges in hand, so we can go for the kill next turn with double protection.
All right. Let's see if that's the play. Let's see if Dingo has any counters for it. A second Bowmaster are going to enter play and deal some damage. I see a Fatal Push.
Yeah, there's a Fatal Push, a Yawg, I think a Grist. Could be tempting to go for the Grist here, but Yawgmoth Sigarda's Aid is threatening on the other side.
It'll be interesting to see if he passes turn here without attacking, because that will signify maybe like a Court of Calling. Unfortunately, but with no green creatures in play, he can't Court of Calling and play Fatal Push this turn. So that could... Oh, actually, one of those is a Takanuma, so he can't even play Court of Calling.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that might be a Takanuma in the middle.
Yeah. Okie dokie. 2 mana. Here's a Blood Artist. Not that threatening here. We're going to attack in for 2, 3, 4. Travis now down to 9, though. This is getting dicey, but I think he's got the kill rolled up.
Yeah, I think this is just a animate, attack, after you declare no blocks, play my Colossus Hammer at instant speed.
Wait for you to do anything.
Yeah.
Play Surge. That means that Dingo needs Fatal Push and Force of Vigor, I think, to protect. And that is only if Travis doesn't have double Surge, which I think he does have 1 Surge and 2 hammers.
If he had two Surges, this would be an immediate go for it. But I still think we'll see him go for it at only 9 life. You know, this is what he has, and I think it's going to be good enough.
All right, the classic Infect kill. Yawgmoth Nexus plus Hammer after no blocks. This with Sigarda's Aid lets you attach it after combat.
And given the Curse Totem play after taking 3, this Surge is almost face up. Yeah, Dingo knows about it, and unfortunately just didn't have anything else.
Needed the push and the Force of Vigor. Needed 2 pieces of interaction, but Travis had 1 piece covered there. And he takes it down 2-1, moving to 3-0. Congrats to him. Still a long road ahead, though.